All right, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Caitlin Mueller. I'm the co-organizer of this event together with Wojciech. What an exciting group of 3 talks. We have just a few minutes if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask. Maybe Skylar and Josephine and Mina, if you guys could just stand up here quickly. And if no one has a question, I'll ask questions. But, oh, wonderful. Yeah, please. Can you, there's a microphone over there just so everyone can hear. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my question for all 3 of y'all is, how do you, because I think one of the main things that I saw show up across all your talks is like having humans design constraints and then having computers enable creating designs based on those constraints. But the thing is, I know that having humans create good constraints is like an especially hard task, even if you then have the computer do all the rest of the work for you. So how are you guys thinking about designing tools that make it really intuitive for people to build correct constraints and like actually convey the ideas that they have in their head without really tedious iteration?
Great question. Do any of you want to go first? Maybe, who's looking happy? Skylar, you look
I think I'm the least
No?
qualified to answer that question. Is my mic on? No.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm likely the least qualified to answer that, but I'll give you one example that I think is related. So in the Maldives project that I showed, we're almost never going to be able to precisely predict what's going to happen. However powerful our modeling technique is or our flume experiments are, there's so many assumptions that are not going to be accurate, and the real world condition is so much more complex. So we're always trying to figure out, how do we build intuition? What's the fastest way for us to have an intuition of what we think is the best strategy going forward, knowing that we can never know for certain and we just have to try. And so I think it's like sort of the opposite version of that. Like, we're not necessarily trying to choose everything, but we're trying to like build a system that can collaboratively learn together. Neither one will know everything. And how do we make it good enough?
Josephine or Mina, do you want to add anything?
Well, I think that's exactly what we're trying to do as well. Move away from thinking that the computer always has to know everything, and the designer just presses go and accepts the final result, the field I'm working in. The engineers have to be the ones that sign off that this design is good enough to actually put into a building or a bridge so it doesn't collapse. And there's also a comfort level in being able to like have had your hand in there and influence the design, because I've seen this work before, that we're trying to build in sort of ownership of the model as well.
Maybe it's like, how do you have enough information to feel confident moving forward? Because we're spending money, we're taking risks, we're, whatever the decision you're making, there's challenges that you're going to face, and you need to have enough information that you feel confident making a decision.
And yet, I also really appreciated Mina's delightful examples where she very carefully pointed out that a human probably would not have come up with this idea, right? Like, how do you think about that, Mina?
Yeah, I actually had another comment on this question. We really think this is an important topic, and you can tell how important it is for us that we submitted a paper on it this morning. So the thing we discussed in the paper is, what do you do when you have to optimize a situation where you don't know the constraints, when the constraints are unknown and you have to discover them in the process and model them in a most efficient way to be able to find what is the most optimal design. And it's a work together with Wojciech Matusek here, where we actually argue that the optimal solutions are actually found in physical experiments, in most cases on the boundary between the feasible and the infeasible region. And that's how crucial the constraints are.
Great. I see there's another question, but we're running a little bit behind schedule. Do you think you could ask the question during the discussion sessions, or is it a very quick question maybe? Yeah.
It's a very quick question.
Okay, maybe just say it and I'll repeat it and we'll have one person answer it. Okay.
Great. It was inspired by Tyler, but also Mina with the thing that looked like an alligator that's swimming up. Have you guys, and also self-organizing design, have you guys ever thought about Chladni patterns and the sound waves? I'm wondering, because there's a lot of intelligence in the way that those things are organized, and if you use that in your work.
Yeah, I've had a couple students do that for projects like using vibrating plates, and one in particular, she was really good at the violin, and so she built this structure that she could play, and as she played it, these patterns would form. It's the vibrating plates that create these like self-evolving sand patterns, and they would form in multiple layers. I think the problem for me has always been like they make beautiful things, but they stay in 2 dimensions, and they're kind of hard to do anything with because it just moves and then it's gone. So it's like momentary image. It's like an image generator. So I think it's fascinating, but we haven't yet figured out like, okay, how could we do anything with this other than just watch it make beautiful patterns? But I have had students use it in their projects as really beautiful results.
Thank you so much. We have to, I know there's going to be more questions, but we have to move on to keep on schedule. Thank you so much to our first 3 speakers.